Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. And I'm back outside this morning where I belong. We had a storm yesterday, so the best place to be was inside. Although I wasn't inside for long. But this morning we've got a bit of freezingness going on. 2-3 days ago, right, it was so mild you didn't need a coat to go outside. And now it's freezing. It's just about freezing point. This thing looks frozen to me. Oh, not really. Not really. Only frozen on the top. Very muddy underneath. There's the moon. And the sun's just coming up. We've got some more tall tales to talk about today, and I'm only going to touch on this briefly because I don't believe it. I think it's nonsense, but so many people have contacted me one way or another saying, Michelle, Don confessed to his dad that Candice put Summer in the septic tank. So Mary, Don's stepsister, came out on No Thanks Investigates channel and said, I just remembered, I've contacted the TBI though, that back in August, nearly 5 months ago, my dad, Don's dad, and Mary's stepdad, she calls him dad, he's brought her up, right? I remember my dad saying that Don had spoken to him and confessed that Candice had put Summer in the septic tank. Right, how would you forget such an important detail? How would you? I'm not saying she's lying, but I'm saying how would you forget such an important detail? But I swear I've heard it before, that I've heard this supposed confession before, but no one else seems to remember it, so I can't prove that I've heard this before. I can't remember where or what channel it was on. Maybe I've dreamt it. I don't know. But it didn't kind of come as a surprise to me. If you believe it, I don't know what to tell you. Right, I'm not saying that Mary's lying, that Don didn't tell his dad that. But his dad is 85. He's got Alzheimer's. Maybe Don is ringing his dad, we know he is, ringing his dad, telling him tall tales to upset him, to confuse him, to prank Mary, because he knows that his dad will tell Mary. Like I said, if you believe it, I honestly don't know what to tell you. But don't you think that the TBI will have checked the septic tank on the property? They have. They absolutely have. She's not in the septic tank, guys. Do you think Don would have told his dad this and then kept it to himself for the last 5 months, having appeared on numerous channels drunk, saying, I've got 7 alibis. Candice has none. She's going down. Do you not think he would have said something? No, you wouldn't think that, would you? No. People who are believing these tall tales because it fits the narrative need to start thinking critically. You know, there's been lots of talk about what Dudley said. Dudley is mistaken. The stuff he said to people can be easily debunked. Not everything. I do believe Dudley when he says he has nothing to do with Summer's disappearance. But some of the things he said can be easily debunked. Hunter's dad, why are people choosing to believe him? Things that Ali has said, even though people tend to slag Ali off, some things that she said back in the early days have now been accepted as fact. They haven't been appraised critically. It's just more of the same. And I roll my eyes and think, no, come on now. You know, at least people have been generally, that I've seen at least, generally not believing of Fred Hill and some of the things he said that I talked about yesterday. You know, that Candice had 2 daughters after summer. How would he know? How would he know? At least people are, I think, not believing that, but I don't know. I don't know what's going to come out. I don't know what people are going to latch onto next. At this stage, 7 months down the line, you know, the septic tank thing was one of the first things I mentioned in this case, one of the very first videos I made on this case. I said, I hope they've checked septic tanks on the properties around. I hope they have. 7 months down the line, don't you think they would have? I mean, look, bodies are hid in septic tanks. We had one in the UK a few years ago, a woman called Helen Bailey who went missing, and it was her fiance who was living at her house who'd put her body and the body of her little doggy in the septic tank. It was an old septic tank. It was no longer used, and he'd pulled his truck over the whole of the septic tank so that the numerous searches that had been done on the property, they just didn't notice that there was a septic tank. Because in the UK, there's not many houses now that have septic tanks, not many. And this house was a big kind of million pound house, and why would they think that there was a septic tank there, you know, a disused septic tank that hadn't been, like, you know, blocked off, filled in, whatever. And then it was one of the neighbours who said, you have checked the septic tank, haven't you? And the cop said, what septic tank? And there she was. They've checked, right? They've checked. 7 months down the line, they've checked. And properties that have septic tanks, don't you think that's one of the first place the TBI will think about looking? I think so. You know, I'm not a particular fan of Sheriff Ronnie Lawson, but even he said that people keep calling in things that they've checked, and they've checked, and they've checked, and they've checked. Dear me. Deary me. But yet people forget or just don't listen to details that are meaningful, that could well be the story, could well be the thing that really happened. And if you go right back to the beginning, before the internet got a very mean place for people coming out talking about Summer and the investigation into Summer in the very early days, before people were driven off, things were coming out from the neighbours, from credible neighbours, from neighbours who had no reason to lie whatsoever, saying, look, footprints have been found on my property. I was there when the search dogs hit. The searchers have said that this footprint, this child's bare footprint, has to be Summer's because a search dog hit on it. And the search dogs have hit on prints on 2 different neighbours' properties, one high up on a ridge that is difficult to get up to, but a local would probably know the easiest way to get up there. And I'm not saying that a 5-year-old would climb up there on her own. I'm not saying that. The search dogs have hit on other places as well. I'm not so enamoured by the search dogs hitting on the property, because her scent will be all over that property. So easy for dogs to get confused, easy for scent to pool in areas. you know, based on kind of environmental factors, wind, the ground type, etc, etc. Talked about search dogs a lot, so go and check back some of my videos on them. I don't know, just search dogs or something and they'll come up. But why are people choosing to not believe those kind of things, but yet they're okay to at least consider believing details that 7 months down the line we know can't be true, we know absolutely cannot be true? Because people have a narrative. That's why people have developed narratives that they're invested in. They've not kept an open mind, and you have to. You can't be wedded to any one theory, and you have to acknowledge that law enforcement will have done their job. They have checked that property again and again and again. You know, somebody even wrote in my comments that grandma wouldn't let them check the school bus. Don't you think that in 7 months, if the school bus had been disallowed, don't you think they'd have just gone and got a search warrant and searched it anyway? The very basics of criminal investigations. We know that search warrants have been executed. We know the TBI have done their job. We've got to just be patient. 7 months is not a lot of time. I've said again and again, it's not a long time for a complex investigation. We do not know what's going on behind the scenes. We do not know how seriously law enforcement have taken these search hits, the hits from the dogs on the various neighbours' properties. We don't know what that means. We don't know who's been being looked into and who's been cleared. Sheriff Ronnie Lawson saying everybody's still a suspect, everybody's a person of interest. Might be true at this stage. However, the sheriff doesn't have to tell the truth. He can lie for whatever reason, you know, to protect the integrity of the investigation. And they don't have to come out and say who they've cleared or when they've cleared them. People might have been cleared since the sheriff said that. We don't know. But we have to let law enforcement do their job. I've just started to lose my faith in human nature, honestly. I really am. When you're not prepared to accept the most basic of information. You know what? I'm getting to the point now where I just think this has gone too far. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. I've been Michelle. I hope you're well. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye from Miss Tillington and Miss Cassie Springer.